black and white is a combination I don't feel fully comfortable in. Recording. Hi, welcome to the Style Toolkit. Today I'm talking about black and white as it pertains to style. Black and white is considered such a classic pairing. It's always been very popular. And, well, first of all, these are achromatic colors, as is gray, meaning that they're devoid of any hue. We tend to think of them as a classic, whether we are pairing separates or combining them in a print or color blocking or perhaps a textile that uses both white and black threads together. There is this kind of sobriety that comes from the absence of color. It's often thought of as synonymous with elegance, though I think this is all relative, as we're about to see. Black is often touted as elegant, versatile, sleek, sophisticated, but it is also associated with mourning, sadness. We might think of it as mysterious, gothic, dangerous, whereas white is luminous, associated with purity, innocence, and peace. But what do ghosts look like? Well, we tend to depict them as white, and you might turn white if you see a ghost. But together, black and white can carry a whole set of new meanings. And of course, when you think of black and white, you might think of the game of chess or black and white photography, old Hollywood movies. And of course, we can think of black and white as being very graphic if you think of ink drawings and newspapers, comic books. The fact that both black and white are achromatic means that we feel they go together. However, we can also think of them as opposites, black being the absence of color and white being this combination of all color frequencies together. So we think of them as opposites that attract. And this idea of opposition has also been used in pop culture with white and black sometimes being used to help identify heroes from villains. Even in the way we speak, we can see how these two can symbolize the idea of opposites. For instance, when we talk about black and white thinking, meaning thinking without nuance. But I find that the associations that we make with black and white can vary greatly, especially when we're talking about prints. A houndstooth pattern will oftentimes evoke the idea of this elegant, rich lady, maybe a bit extravagant. A Breton shirt might look a bit more laid back, though still very put together. However, thicker, more in-your-face black and white stripes, I think it starts to change a bit. We start to make other associations. You could think of an old-timey sort of prisoner's outfit, but I think it can also look a bit rebellious, a bit rock and roll. A black and white checkered outfit feels a bit more fun, playful, cheeky. You might associate it with the 1960s mod subculture as well as with ska and of course the Vans that come in that pattern. And I think the zebra pattern might also be a little more playful than say a cheetah print, but it all depends. I think it could be sensual, it could be more playful depending how you present it. And how about this print? It looks like a newspaper, right? Or this more abstract print. Elegant isn't necessarily always going to be the first adjective that comes to mind. Sometimes it's playful, sometimes it's cheeky or chaotic, and it can even be a bit sinister. Remember what I was saying about how both white and black can have a certain gothic appeal to it? Well, I associate black and white with characters like Beetlejuice and Jack Skellington. It is not uncommon for people in the gothic subculture to dress in black, but then paint their faces so that it looks really pale. This sharp contrast between the two colors, it can be a little bit unsettling. Consider optical illusions where you're seeing black and white stripes together and you feel like something is moving, but it's not really. My eyes don't know where to rest, and it can be a bit tiresome to look at it for a long time. When picking out garments, I think that you have to consider what kind of story, what kind of mood are you trying to convey. With black and white, it can go from very sophisticated, discreet, to very chaotic and anything in between. Don't simply rely on cliches that we have about certain colors. Ask yourself, what is this garment conveying? What are these colors? What is this print saying? And is it in alignment with what I'm trying to say? And can I actually integrate this in my day-to-day successfully? Now, one thing you can do if you want to avoid things looking a bit chaotic and messy is to think of establishing a color hierarchy, right? That classic dress from Sabrina where Audrey Hepburn is wearing this beautiful white gown. The white is the predominant color, and then you just have some black accents, and this keeps it from looking too busy. You can also soften the look by picking smaller patterns which from a certain distance look a bit grayish. Or, as I said earlier, when black and white threads are part of the same fabric, and so they also give off that gray effect. On the other hand, if you do want to stand out and wear something that is truly eye-catching, you could go for bolder prints. The important thing is your intention. If you want to make Beetlejuice core the newest TikTok trend, go for it. What I'm trying to caution you against, however, is thinking that because black and white are synonymous with elegance, they're timeless, they're classics, you end up picking something that has a lot of visual noise, that is very visually polluted, and you end up doing the opposite of what you wanted. Because we tend to think that, well, black and white are neutrals. Neutrals go with everything. What could go wrong? And by the way, I'm not saying that a print that is a bit more bold or loud is necessarily the opposite of elegant. For instance, if you took the houndstooth print that we talked about, and which, in my mind at least, I think of rich lady, elegant lady when I think of houndstooth. But if you took that and you did a very oversized, enlarged version of that, now it starts to look a bit more fun and playful. But you still have that association from houndstooth, but this is elevated to a more fashionista status. It's a great way to piggyback off of something that is very recognizable, iconic, but put a new spin on it. Again, you have to gauge what is the story that's being told. Now, here's a very important thing that I want to mention before we wrap things up. Personally, I've always struggled to wear black and white. Anytime I wore something that had black and white in it, mixed in a print and stripes, for instance, I never really felt fully at ease. And this has to do with my skin coloration. In seasonal color analysis, I am pretty much an autumn. What that means is that my skin has some yellow pigmentation to it, as well as a bit of gray, which makes it difficult for me to wear full-on saturated bright colors. And I think that this also impacts my ability to wear clothes that have a lot of contrast. Black and white is a combination I don't feel fully comfortable in. I can wear a black outfit or I can wear white on their own, but as soon as they're together, there's just too much noise. This goes a lot deeper than just whether or not it's flattering. I just feel like I get lost. It becomes noisy. You see the garment before you see me. Now, I'm not super rigid about seasonal color. I use it to inform my choices, but I'm not very rigid. I do wear colors that are from other seasons if they're not terrible. But yeah, black and white together, I feel nah. And I've seen this effect replicated in other people when they wear black and white, and I notice that they have a warmer, perhaps more muted tone to their skin. So one thing I like to do instead is to wear black with beige or black with cream or black and gold. I feel that having that warm shade instead of white helps keep the combination more grounded in my season and hence more harmonious with my complexion. I feel much more at ease, much more at home with this kind of print, with this kind of combination than I've ever have wearing black and white. And if you're a summer, meaning someone who is cool toned, but whose ideal colors are a bit more muted, a bit softer, you might also try to make an adjustment. So perhaps you feel you can wear black, like me, you could wear black, but when you add the white, it feels a bit too high contrast for you, then maybe you could do black and gray, or you could do a dark gray with a lighter gray or an off-white or a navy. Just think about tweaking things so that they feel right for you. The point of this is not to restrict anyone, but just to say, if when you wear something, it feels a bit off, if you have a black and white garment and you put it on and somehow you feel a little bit underwhelmed by the overall effect, how you feel in it, how you look in it, consider if this isn't the thing that is throwing you off, because sometimes we can't really pinpoint what it is about something that doesn't quite feel right. And so I think that for a lot of people, if they maybe put some thought into this, they could realize, oh, maybe black and white isn't for me. Because we tend to think that black and white are neutrals, and we learn from an early age that they supposedly go with everything, we don't really question whether black or white, and especially black and white together, are right for us. And this is something that I would extend to any so-called neutral color or shade. And because we are all unique individuals, you might be the same color season as me, but find that you like, you enjoy, you feel comfortable wearing black and white, in which case, sooner disregard that suggestion. This is just something for you to consider if you feel like there's a little mismatch and you don't really know why.